It's been over a year since the tragic and unthinkable murder of George Floyd. People all over the world watched the video that shows how a then Minneapolis police officer kept his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, torturing him to death while George Floyd begged for his life, said numerous times that he could not breathe, and called for his mom while in dire distress. Just moments away from his death. Hello everyone, I'm Lisa D. Welcome to DCTV's special presentation, Remembering and Honoring George Floyd, the fight for racial equality and justice. George Floyd was murdered on May 25, 2020. His death sparked outrage and protests all around the globe and brought racism in all of its ugliness to the forefront for the world to see. Joining me today is a man who knew and loved George Floyd dearly, his uncle Selwyn Jones. I'll sit down for a one-on-one interview with Selwyn as he shares fond memories of his nephew, George Floyd, the son of his late sister. You'll see his uncle Selwyn walk through Black Lives Matter Plaza outside the White House right here in Washington, D.C. for the very first time. That show next. Hello everyone, I'm Lisa D. Welcome to DCTV's special presentation, Remembering and Honoring George Floyd, the fight for racial equality and justice. George Floyd was murdered on May 25, 2020. His death sparked outrage and protest all around the globe and brought racism and all of its ugliness to the forefront for the world to see. Joining me today is a man who knew and loved George Floyd dearly, his uncle Selwyn Jones. Mr. Selwyn, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Miss Lisa, for actually having me.
Absolutely. We are honoring and remembering George Floyd today, and we are also talking about why it is so important to continue the fight for justice and equality. But first, we would like to find out how you and your family are doing and coping with his death and everything that has happened.
We were glad the verdict came back the way it did. Some of us are moving faster than others. You know, I can't let none of this go. I am obsessed with making a difference and making a change because I know that generally everything has shelf lives. Well, the shelf life with racism, justice and equality has been a battle our whole life. Mm-hmm. And I just honestly believe because of my nephew's death and how he died, he opened the whole world's eyes. It took the world to say, we're not going to take it. We have to have some kind of resolve because I am totally afraid that if the world wouldn't have stood up and battled and irritated, aggravated, and upset a lot of people, I'm afraid that that gang of four would not have been arrested, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's my duty and it's my pleasure and it's an honor for me to be that 12 billion in one person, to be George Floyd's uncle, because I can't think of anybody that could have done the job. I would have attempted to do the job like I've attempted because, like I said, I don't sleep. I'm obsessed. I need people like yourself to so you can see this ugly face and hear this scraggly voice, so I can make a difference. You know, because winners don't quit and quitters don't win. And I may not win this battle, but it's not going to be because I'm not going to try. Because my nephew died a heinous, unbelievable death in front of all of our eyes. When you saw that video for the first time, when you laid your eyes on it, the first thing you thought is the black guy isn't going to live in this movie. And the sad thing is there's been a lot of movies that the black guy didn't live in, and nothing came from it. So we got to make sure that we talk and communicate, conversate, educate, and motivate are my 4 words that I use continuously. Because in order for change, you have to work at it. And the problem that we've had for all these years, nobody was willing to put up a battle. Well, I got my hard hat on, I got my boots on, and we're going to work. What else can we do?
Let me ask you this. People around the world watch that video. And to us, it was, oh my God, look what's happening to this man. Can you just tell me vividly what you were doing when you saw this? When did you realize it was your nephew? And what happened in that moment to you?
Television comes on and I see this vicious assault by this police officer. I just watched. I just sit there, and it was like I waited, just like 60 or 70 million people that particular morning waited for him to die. Then they pick him up, they throw him on the gurney, and I never once said anything. It's just the shock of me knowing that that's me, that's one of mine. I saw my big sister, baby boy, go from laughing, talking, begging, crying, and dying. And you had to wait for him to die just like everybody. And I can't tell you. I can tell you repeatedly how bad it was to me, but I get to see that and think about that every night. And it eats me up today. It'll eat me up until I'm 192 years old, dead dust. What kind of system do we live in that it's normal for folks to jump on people in the middle of the day and take advantage of them by using power and control and not giving them a chance to survive? I just talked to him.
Oh, God.
And he texted me happy birthday. And I was too busy that I didn't respond to his text.
How long before May 25th did he text you happy birthday?
My birthday's on the 22nd of May, so my birthday's ruined forever. His mama died on the 28th of May. And I get that phone, and it says, happy birthday, Unc. So, like I said, the heart, somebody stuck their hand in my heart and just snatched it out. And I made a new word. It's called menopause. Because I cry every day. I could cry every day because of the injustices that have been put on us as people of color. And it don't seem like nobody gives a daggone.
Yeah.
We don't matter. We have not mattered to people, We've been people that you can kick on, that you can pick on, the people that you can disrespect and humiliate because of the color of our skin, because of where you live, because of what kind of economic standard you got. And dear, ever since that particular day, the next day I've been marching on the 27th, and I haven't stopped, and I can't stop because I've got to make it better. And I'm looking in the camera, and I'm telling you this: Black lives do matter. White lives do matter. All lives matter because we come here for a very short period of time. Why not make the world a better place? Why not treat people with respect? Why not be the best human being and person you can be and make a difference instead of shaming, embarrassing, and humiliate people for your own self-gratification? And that's the problem that we have. It's better to talk down and talk bad about somebody than to lift them up and say, hey, man, you know, what can we do for you? All most people need is just for somebody to know that they care, they're listening. You know, sweetie, because there's a lot of hatred in this world.
Yes, it is.
You know, there's a lot of hatred, a lot of anger. And let this be known, I'm going back to the camera again, there ain't no hatred allowed in heaven. And I think most people got goodness in them. But because it's been taught, if we go back in history, everything black is bad. The black cat is a bad thing. You know, somebody, the black witch, bad witch. If somebody's talking crap about you, they're blackmailing you. You know? And I even mentioned to a couple of my people the other day, I was like, name the components of the battery. You ever thought about that?
No.
Red and black. The black's negative.
Absolutely.
That's sad.
It is sad.
Sweetie. That's
very sad.
So most people blame how they are on, you know, on things that have happened in life or family. They're totally correct, because racism isn't a DNA. It is a taught emotion. But I'm still trying to figure out how somebody can sit their little Johnny on their lap and say, listen, you don't hang around with them because they're black. My job as of May the 26th of 2020 is to make a difference, because my nephew gave me an opportunity to be able to make a difference, because it took the whole world to stand up and say no.
Oh, that is very commendable of you. I know it is not easy. And as you are trying to continue this fight and still think about the person, you once called him one of your most favorite people. So let's talk about who he is and who he was to you, and so that the world can really know George Floyd, not just what we saw, but he was a man. He was a father, he was a brother, he was your nephew.
When you see Selwyn Jones out of the suit, out of the politically correct places, you see a guy that pretty much walks around barefooted, in shorts, laughing and joking, and just being a person. Because when you grow up poor, laughter is free.
Yeah.
And all we want to do is laugh and joke and bring good feelings and good vibes to people around us. And that was George. You know, he loved the Lord. He loved people just like I do. You know, if the George Floyd that people should see, if you've never met him, is that brief period when he was in that store, laughing in there, dancing, trying to kiss a girl, you know. That's George Floyd, you know, fool. You know, always got music going in his head. That's George Floyd. The George Floyd that you've seen talk, you went from seeing him talking and laughing to begging, crying, and dying. And that George Floyd changed the world. Everybody has issues. Everybody has done something that they could probably stick their head in the sand. You know, that's just life. But it doesn't matter what you've done. $19.00 shouldn't put you in a situation where you have to be put, where you're lying on the street, where you have 4 goons, which are supposed to be police officers, which are supposed to de-escalate and not escalate.
Absolutely.
He loved my sister with all his heart and soul. And he was a good dude, you know. He was so much bigger than everybody. You know, I remember when he was a little kid, you know, everybody's got a crazy uncle, okay? I'm not saying I'm that crazy uncle, but what I'm telling you is I might have locked him in the trunk of a car a couple times, maybe. You know, I might have buried them up to their neck right before they told me they got to go to the bathroom. I'm not saying that I did stuff like that. But everybody got that crazy uncle. And, you know, his name was George Floyd. If you know him, you called him Perry. And, you know, he made you mad.
Why'd he make you mad?
Because I remember when I could grab him by one leg and then beat him up.
Yeah.
And when you're 53, 54 years old, you don't want to wrestle nobody no more.
No,
And he
you
always
don't.
used to grab you and pick you. Come on, Unc, let's play. Remember when I was a little boy? Come on, man, I ain't. Yeah. So every time I saw him, it was one of those people that always brought joy to your heart. I don't think nobody's ever seen him that he didn't make you smile or make you laugh.
Oh.
When the times that he didn't smile or make you laugh, well, you knew that something was on his mind. I remember the first time he called me when he was in Minneapolis. He called me at 9:30 in the morning. Well, at that particular time, I had another occupation. And did I tell you I was a professional vacuum cleaner salesman back in the day? And he calls me in the morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, and hello? What's up? Because, you know, vacuum cleaner salesman, we don't need to be in nobody's house until 11 o'clock. That's just really, hello? I'm saying, what are you doing, man? Well, I don't know who this is. This sounds like this is Perry Floyd. I'm trying to sleep. You know your uncle don't get up. I got banker's hours, man. Well, man, I just got to Minneapolis. What? I just got to Minneapolis. I'll be there by 4 o'clock. That's how my love was. Some people, you know, every time you got an opportunity to see them, you took the opportunity. I'm a goer. I am, if somebody in my family gets sick or hurt, my mama always told me, you got to show people how you feel about them, by how you treat them. And if I care for you, I won't show you. You're going to get sick of me because I talk too much. God, please forgive me. I eat too much with everybody, you know? And I just love people. And there's certain people that you gravitate because you see things that are going on in their life that makes you that makes you think of things that you've gone through. And sports was our avenue to our closeness.
George Floyd has a daughter. She is 7 years old now?
Gianna, 8.
Gianna is now 8 years old, okay. What is it that you feel she's going to grow up knowing this happened to her father? She will see that video one day. And what do you want to kind of instill within her to know that her father did change the world and to make that somehow easier for her?
She literally knows that things are different for her than before her dad's passing. Her mother is doing a wonderful job taking care of Gianna. You know?
Well, you told me earlier that, you know, he was a really good basketball player in high school and that everyone thought he was going to make it to the NBA. And then what happened there?
He decided that he needed to be home to help his mama. Because, you know, unfortunately, country women, grandmamas, which we don't have anymore, took care of the family. You know, and in our family, you know, everybody goes from that Selwyn Jones, you know, try to take care of theirs, no matter what. You could not have a pot or a window to throw it out of, but you had to take care of yours. And you're talking about people that have struggled their whole life, you know, and unfortunately, there's a couple situations that go on that shouldn't have went on. And him being the oldest boy, if there's any way I can help my mama, I have to. And the rest is the reason why we're here. My sister dies, and I remember going to the funeral, and he was so brokenhearted. I knew he was hurt. I knew he was sad. I knew he was disappointed because the one person in his life that always had his back just left. So, you know, I remember looking in his eyes. I remember seeing his face. I remember the way he looked the last time I saw him, which was 2 weeks before he died. Like, still was talking about mama.
Oh.
He was talking about, you know, my grandmama and his mama.
He loved them dearly.
Yeah.
How long had she passed? Had it been since she passed?
2 years and 2 days.
Oh, and he was still just
2 years and 2
brokenhearted.
days. And, yeah, you don't ever forget that, sweetie.
No, you
You
don't.
don't ever forget that.
No.
And, you know, I got 12 sisters. And one of my beautiful sisters was Floyd's mama. She was crazy, too. Crazy sisters, man. And I've adopted some or inherited some. So I'm not calling no names, Lisa D. Anyhow, throughout this little journey, I've met wonderful people. A young lady named Love McCall. You know, got to give her a little holler.
Yes, I've met her.
That,
She's fantastic.
That are wonderful human beings that have opened a light, turned on a light in my brain. I live in a little town called Gettysburg, South Dakota, and I have a couple people that really adore me. They really do. They adore me so much that they write racial epithets and write derogatory things on walls of garages that I have to see every day, and people let it exist. People let it stay there for months and months and months and months, and people call me out of my name. I can't go to any establishment in town, you know. So it's basically like I'm living in 1945.
That is just awful.
Well, you know what, sweetie?
Because they know this happened to your nephew. And they are, instead of embracing you and trying to help you to cope and express their sympathy, they are targeting you for racism.
I take it. I take it. I went to the police and told the police that, you know, we had something wrote on the side of a garage. So every time I pulled up at my garage, I had to see it. Hey, man, that ain't right. I am a grown man. I got babies that's got to see this. There's babies in this town that has to look at this. Man, and they basically laugh. And I have learned how to justify their ignorance with giving me power. And they can call me anything they want to call me, sweetie. This is where I'm literally supposed to say, you can call me anything that you want to call me, but don't call me late for dinner or lunch or breakfast, because I would hate to miss those. I don't care, because I know that you have to go and repent for your own sins.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
you know what, there's a quote in the Bible, and I really don't know a lot, but please forgive them because they do not know what they do.
They do not know what they do. Well, I'm so sorry that you are going through that. And I'm glad that you have learned to turn that into power for yourself and to really continue the fight for justice and to change that.
I have to.
Because for someone to do that in the wake of your nephew being killed like that, if that doesn't shake you and change you, you are just a very mean and dark person with a very dark soul.
We've got a lot of mean and dark souls in this world, sweetie. And all I know is one day we'll all be at the same place.
Yeah.
Because, as I've said before, we come here to live a short period of time. And you have to repent your sins, and you have to just know that one day when you're lying there, when you're looking up, and you're thinking about all the things you've done in your life, you'll think, why did I treat a particular individual like I treated? What did he do? It'll all come to fruition. What did he do? Why did I do that to him? Because my brain is always thinking about what I can do to make a difference. And as we've been traveling all over the country, thanking people for, having my nephews back. Oh God, sweetie, I see so many bad situations, so many homeless people, so many people with hurt in their eyes,
Yeah, yeah.
and I just know that I have got to make a difference
Yeah.
in this world and make somebody smile and to make somebody think twice about disrespecting another human being.
And you're going through great lengths to do that. You were recently in Arkansas. And can you tell me about where you were and why you chose to go there? And
Arkansas is one of the poorest places in the world, in the United States. And it's also has been stigmatized as being one of the most racist places in the world. Well, I went by the forenamed county as the racist place in the United States, which is Harrison, Arkansas. And me and another one of my affiliates, he does a lot of events all over the state of Arkansas, racial diversity and inclusion, trying to make a difference in the world in Arkansas. I go down this week, and it has literal billboards that says, "Welcome to the whitest town in America."
unbelievable.
And I never once thought twice about it. I went to Arkansas 3 months ago for the young man that got murdered by the police. He was a Caucasian young fellow. And I went there, and I had an opportunity to look a grandmother that had been counter-protesting versus the George Floyd protest, and look her in the eye and tell her I was sorry that she had to go through the same thing that we had to go through. And for a brief second, I seen somebody that would have otherwise preferred to have spit in a black person's face say, "Thank you, Mr. Jones." Went into the town, and I sat in the car, and we get out, and and we're talking to people, laughing, and I make my little speech, and it's the funniest thing in the world because nobody knew who I was, and my man disclosed who I was, and the mayor, he almost peed his pants dancing. I knew you. Well,
Was he happy
jubilant,
that you were there?
Just jubilant, just
Okay.
absolutely jubilant. And the point I'm trying to make is the forenamed racist city in the world, they marched for my nephew. That's the reason why I went there.
Yes.
They had a peaceful protest for George Perry Floyd Jr. And, sweetie, what I'm telling you, if you got places like Harrison, Arkansas, and I can go there and laugh and rejoice, and those people look me in the eye and say, "Mr. Jones, I can't believe you came here, but it's amazing to actually see somebody that has put up the fight. And oh yeah, by the way, we were right beside there with you." Ma'am, I know that there can be a change made in this world.
Yes. So let's talk about your mission. Your mission is to continue to go to these tough places, continue to face racism head on, continue to push for legislation. Yes, and you're trying to push the Police Reform Act and different things like that.
To get rid of qualified immunity gives a police officer basically all the right in the world to harm you and be no consequences for him. So, and let's just cross our fingers and hope that one day that will be a dream that comes true.
You know that here in D.C., Black Lives Matter was painted in big, bold letters leading up to the White House.
We're going there.
We are going there. And when we go there, it'll be your first visit. And we will let our viewers see you walk Black Lives Matter Plaza for the first time, where we will, your nephew's name, George Floyd, is there. And actually, his death was the catalyst event that sparked that movement, the protest all over the world, and Black Lives Matter being painted in the nation's capital in front of the White House. And so we want to get your reactions to that, as well as we're going to go to the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial here in Washington,
I
D.C.
think the last time I was there was like 1 million people there. And I was scared. It was hot. Dear, I appreciate every effort that the city of Washington, D.C. has put forth for my nephew, for our people, you know, for people in general. Because keep in mind, dear, I'm not that person that just talks about me, us, people with black. Because there, it took a whole world to make George Floyd's life relevant.
Yeah.
And I just believe that if we can all come into unity to make such a difference in this world, we can continue to do that to change things for the better.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So, you know, I got to make it better for every little baby that walks the face of this earth, to make sure people will understand that they're just kids.
Okay.
And we got to raise them and give them an opportunity to know that they're equal.
Absolutely.
And they are of the same standard of anybody that walks the face of this earth.
Yeah.
And it's shame on them. Shame on them to think that you're better than anybody because of the color of your skin.
That's right.
You know?
We're going to pick up that part of your mission and how you
Soulful
are
Heart.
going around the nation to make a change. Can you say that again?
A Soulful Heart is our foundation.
A Soulful
And we're going to make a lot of big changes. Got a lot of big things coming that are going to make people's lives better.
Yes, yes.
Especially the babies in this world.
Yeah.
Because of the babies are where we need to battle with, because the children of this world are the future leaders of this world.
That's right.
And that's who's going to make a difference, because unfortunately, people that are, I love the word, long in the tooth or mature, they're basically stuck in what and where they want to be and how they want to be. So, you know, we got to prepare the babies.
That's right.
For, you know, to make the change.
And we'll put information up about how people can find out more about your movement and your mission and more about A Soulful Heart.
I'm coming to a city near you.
That's right. Thank you so much, Mr. Selwyn Jones. And we'll be back when we visit Black Lives Matter. Stay with us.
I'm from North Carolina. This is probably my 5th time coming to DC.
Okay.
We came up here for the big march, 26th of August. And we had the privilege of going to Martin Luther King Monument, and that was amazing to see all those people there and came to show up for my nephew. Yeah, just a display of unity, the display of wanting a change from this hatred, life and path and existence that we've had because of us being black.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's meaning a lot to a lot of people and our family, but you know, we're just making a difference.
Making a difference. And this was a big, huge start. This was a big statement.
This is monumental, sweetie. Anytime somebody takes their time to nation's capital, this is big. This is a big time.
It really is. nation's capital, right at the White House, the symbol of freedom for the world. Let's really make that happen.
Yeah, but in reality, free isn't free.
To show that the nation is sorry for his death and in some kind of way honor him and the other people who have died at the hands of police. And I want you to look at this yellow sign and tell me what you see.
Oh, it's sadness. But you see George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. That means that somebody is making a statement to make change. So we have to follow this path. We have to keep this path going.
Absolutely. And it lists their names, and then it says, say their names. Say his name.
George Floyd.
Say his name.
George Floyd.
Say his name. Let's make one more very important stop for inspiration and reflection at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial.
We're making a difference, gonna make a change.
Absolutely.
We're never gonna not let his name be heard. George Floyd's name will live forever. Has to, because that's the beginning of a different world that we live in.
Thank you so much for joining me today for this special presentation, remembering and honoring George Floyd, the fight for racial equality and justice. I'm Lisa D for DCTV.